seems like there are so many different artists out there doing so many different types of screams that it could feel overwhelming. But in this video, I'm going to show you how it can all be boiled down and simplified so you can recreate 90% of the screams you want, but in your own voice. I'm going to show you the two-step system to do this. So most people think that every scream is completely unique and you need to learn hundreds of different techniques. But here's the truth, 90% of screams are just a combination of two different things: the vocal register you're using and the distortion type you're using. That's it. So let me explain. One of my students, Joseph, specifically wanted to learn how to scream like Austin Carlisle from Of Mice and Men. But instead of me just telling him how to do it, I walked him through how to figure out for himself. And I want to walk you through the same process. So the first thing to do is figure out what vocal register the vocalist is using. So what is a vocal register? Well, a vocal register is, you could think of as like different modes of your voice. So one definition of a vocal register that I like is a cluster of notes that have very similar qualities to it. So for example, if I were to sing these notes, those have very similar qualities to it. But if I were to sing these notes, those are a different cluster of notes with different tonal qualities to it. Same thing with this. Those are a cluster of notes that have a very different quality to that. Okay, so sometimes when you're listening to a vocalist, you can kind of hear their voice peek out from underneath the distortion. So if it sounds like they're using a Mickey Mouse voice or a baby voice underneath it, then they are using head voice. Say 1, 2, 3. So if it sounds like they are using a stern, angry dad voice, they are probably using chest voice. And the next one's a little trickier to figure out with your ear if you're just getting started. But if it sounds like a mid-ranged kind of shout, they are probably using something called mixed voice. And by the way, if this is confusing and you want to develop your ear more, I've got a free training that walks you through these vocal registers a little bit more in depth. And it'll also show you how to get free live feedback from me if that's what you're interested in. Links in the description. Okay, so now you know about vocal registers, let's show you how to figure out the distortion type, which distortion they're using. So there's many different types of distortions, but 90% of distortions can be boiled down to what are called fry screams and false chord screams. So fry screams, in my opinion, tend to sound smooth, wet, gurgly, and kind of like static. Versus false chords tend to sound, in my opinion, more rumbly, crunchy, and flappy. Now, hybrid screams, which are a combination of fry and false chord screams, sound both crunchy and smooth. Okay, now I'm going to show you real footage of how I helped Joseph figure out how to recreate the screams from Of Mice and Men. Okay, so let's break this down. So I would say in the way I like to, the first question that I like to ask myself when I'm sort of like trying to dissect somebody's scream is like, what register are they using? And sometimes it's clear, sometimes it's not. But okay, so what register do you feel like Austin's using? Like more head?
I feel like it has to be head fry.
Okay, cool. How come?
I mean, to me, it seems like it's too high to be within chest fry, but that's, I don't know.
Okay, cool. And so the thing is, I agree. I would say that it sounds to me like he's definitely using a head voice. Yeah, it just sounds like it has that kind of a shrill sort of
Yeah.
like baby voice quality more so than like a sort of like voice. Okay, so then why would you then when you said fry, what makes you believe that it's fry?
So it is not. That's a good question. I would say that like it doesn't sound as trying to describe how like typically I would look at false chords. I would say that it's not airy, but I feel like that's the wrong way to describe it. I feel like it's very, very tight, very crunchy.
Okay. Okay. For sure. For sure. Well, yeah. Well, you're right, and I would say that everything that you were thinking of was correct. So yeah, I want you to, and I think that this is far more important. Having the ear to kind of like try to make your best guess of what they're doing. That's ultimately what's gonna make you like recreate like all of these screams in your way, and you
Right.
did that perfectly. I would say, or I would say you did that in a way that I would land in a very similar conclusion that you did too. Like I think that
Right.
he's doing a head fry. I think the other thing too, specifically about Austin Carlisle, is that I have seen this video of him recording where it's to me even more obvious. So
Ran around and fight that you know online
to me, it's much more obvious that he's using head voice in there.
Yeah.
Would you agree? Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
It
and
sounds nuts. Like hearing that him recording like that. It sounds great. Is he yelling? It seems
uh,
super. It seems super loud.
yeah, so
online patrol.
maybe. Maybe. I would say that there's not a. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would say that it sounds kind of loud, but yeah, I don't know. I also don't think that there's. It's kind of coming almost at the expense of the distortion a little bit. That's kind of my
Okay.
takeaway. Like, it doesn't sound super distorted. You know what I mean? It sounds kind of like voicey, more voicey than distorted. And generally, the more you lean towards voice, the more loud it is. So give that a shot.
Yes,
Okay, cool. Yeah. What did you think about that? Do you feel like that was closer?
I feel like it was. I kind of lost it a little bit at the end, but I feel like it probably was closer.
I would agree. Yeah, I'd say this part's really good. Yeah, so that's pretty much how you get the. That's
Okay.
you.
Well, shit. That was a lot easier than I thought.
Yeah, for sure. And I intentionally wanted you to figure it out yourself and me to walk you through it without me giving you the answers, just because, like, at this point, I think a lot of you guys on this call, I think are at this point more than you realize, where it's like, dude, you guys actually have the tools. Because like I didn't really coach you through any of this. I was just like, okay, what do you think? What do you think? And you pretty much said all the right answers.
All right.
So.
All right.
um,
Okay.
So here's what we covered. 90% of the screams that you hear can be boiled down to vocal register plus distortion type. And that's pretty much it. So step one, figure out the register that the vocalist is using. If they sound like Mickey Mouse, and it sounds like they're screaming from this area of their voice, then they are using their head voice. But if they sound like angry dad, as their bass, then they are using what's called chest voice. If they're using a mad rain shout, then they are using mixed voice as the bass. Step two, figure out the distortion they're using. If they get a smooth, static, wet, gurgly sound like this, or they are using fry. Whereas if they're using a rumbly, crunchy sound, they're leaning more into their false chords. If they're doing a combination of the two, then they're doing a hybrid scream. Now remember, everyone's voice is different. Even after understanding this information, then when you try and recreate it, even if you get the techniques pretty much dead on, you're probably going to sound maybe a little different in a good way. You're going to sound kind of unique to your own voice. But another thing though is that everybody, including you, has different habits in relationship with their voices. So if you're struggling with figuring out how to do your favorite artist's screams, remember I got that free training in the description. It'll also show you how to get free live feedback from me if you're interested in that. Okay, so now you know how to tell what your favorite artists are doing. The next question is, how do you pull off those sounds? Well, if you want to learn how to do fry screams, then check out this video. And if you want to learn how to do false chord screams, check out this video.